So the first team we're going to go over is the Infernape team. We're going to do all 3 starters. The Infernape team actually changed a little in the last time that I was doing this, or the last time that I was looking at this. So it starts off with Infernape. So we know Infernape's 4 weaknesses: water, ground, flying, psychic. So we have to get rid of those 4 weaknesses. Now there's a Pokemon that can handle 2 of those weaknesses immediately: water and flying. That is Luxray. Now I am going to use a Luxray, but I do recommend that you probably should use a Raichu. The reason why is because there's not very good physical electric moves, but they're great special electric moves. So either of them 2 can be used. But I recommend getting one, sticking with the one. If it was the Platinum Dex, I think there were just a few more electric types you could use, but I think I'm looking at the Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl Pokedex. I think it's just mostly the Diamond Pokedex. So, with a few exceptions, at least from what I see on this list, maybe you get the National Dex early. But I will mention the Pokemon that I had in the place of the Pokemons, and I'll mention the Pokemons that I now have in the place. Okay, so I need to make sure that they're not version exclusives. If they are version exclusives, I will show which version they are in. If they're not, I won't show it. So the next Pokemon. So now we got rid of the water weakness, got rid of the flying weakness. We still have the psychic, and we still have the ground. Now we have 2 Pokemon that have a ground weakness, right? So the next Pokemon's got to get rid of this ground weakness, right? That Pokemon is Azumarill. I completely forgot Azumarill is now fairy. I had Floatzel sitting there the longest time. I was like, yes, Floatzel. Azumarill is a fairy type. I completely forgot about it. Completely forgot that Azumarill is a fairy type. Completely and totally forgot. That's easily my 3rd Pokemon. Easily. So that gets rid of the ground weakness. Now we only have 1 more weakness to get rid of, which is psychic. Right? Did I mention I'll have movesets showed up on screen with text? So now we only have the psychic weakness. Now, you know what I'm going to pick for the psychic weakness. I am going to pick Weavile. There's a clear reason why I'm picking Weavile here, and it's because he's an ice type. And because he's an ice type, I would like to use him, and he's fast. I'd like to use him to one-shot Garchomps because they're quite affected by ice. That's the only reason why he is even here. I would use Skunk Tank because it's Poison Dark and gives us a fairy counter, but Weavile will be in the place. So that gets rid of all of Infernape's weaknesses. That gets rid of all of Luxray or Raichu's weaknesses. So now we have to talk about we'll do Azumarill's weaknesses. Azumarill's weaknesses should be electric, grass, it's electric, grass, and poison with a neutral on steel, right? I didn't know that. Did not know that. Did not know that. Also, another thing to note, Azumarill does get the ability Sap Sipper, which means that he can't be hit by grass moves. So if you get Sap Sipper, now Huge Power is probably better, but if you get Sap Sipper, you're looking chippy. Grass weakness gets handled by Infernape anyway. Like I just said. Your electric weakness is one that we haven't mentioned. And we also have a poison weakness, right? We have a poison weakness. that we haven't handled. Now, what type handles both poison and electric? I'll give you a few seconds. Survey says, "Oh, that's the wrong game." I'm sorry. So there's a few Pokemon that I would give you guys to pick here. You could go with a Powdon, right? It's just pure ground, which would mean that its only weaknesses would be ice, grass, water, which already have counters on the team, right? You could also go with Quagsire, or what's the other one? Wishcash, right? You could definitely do that. I do not recommend go. I mean, I do not. I would recommend going with them if you don't want to use Garchomp. But if you want to use Garchomp, there you go. There's your electric and your poison weakness. Done. That's like the best damn Pokemon in the game. But I'm not gonna recommend you guys use Garchomp because it's kind of lame. like Cynthia uses the Garchomp, so I'm not gonna give you Garchomp. Personally, I think you should go with either Quagsire or Wishcash because you have so many different grass counters that his quad weakness to grass does not matter. But another reason why is because I like to have I don't like to cross type, but pure types I don't really like all that much, right? So his only weaknesses is his quad weakness to grass, right? That is his own. That's their only weakness of the water ground types, which means that you, as long as you don't send them in on a grass type or a Pokemon that has a grass move or grass coverage move, which most poison types don't really have, you should be fine, right? So the Pokemon that we've mentioned right now, Infernape, Azumarill, Luxray / Raichu, Wishcash, and Weavile. So now you have one more Pokemon. You have one more Pokemon. And there's a few types you need to cover for. Currently with firefighting, you should be able to cover rock, steel, ice, grass, bug, dark, stuff like that, right? With the electric, you should be able to handle water, flying. And then if it's Luxray specifically, you should be able to handle darks as well. And ghosts, anything that gets hit by dark type moves super effectively. But I will mention something later on. So this last Pokemon is really just a pick one, but I have a specific Pokemon that I think would fit the best, but I'll mention it once I'm done talking about what types you can cover currently. Azumarill handles ground, rock, dragon, dark as well, and I believe maybe fighting. I'm not sure. The next up is Weavile that handles dragon, that handles flying, that handles ghost, that handles you get the gist. I'm done talking about it because my brain's shutting off. Now, there's a couple Pokemon that I would like to mention here. Now, the only real counter you do not necessarily have is the Fairy type. It is a new type, so it makes sense that, what I was thinking about didn't have it, but I know that one specific trainer has a Fairy type. That is Cynthia with Togekiss. Now, Togekiss is a fairy flying. So one of my Pokemon is a good Pokemon, but I don't recommend it because she definitely has Air Slash. Now that Pokemon would be Toxicroak. Like I said, I don't recommend it. Because he is poison fighting, which takes super effective damage via flying. Now, what I do recommend is Gengar. If you can get your hands on a Gengar, I recommend getting your hands on a Gengar because he is Ghost Poison. And if you give him, Sludge Wave, he can handle fairies. He can also handle ghosts. Can't really handle dark, but he can handle grass as well because poison. So I recommend going with Gengar. That is the team. It is Infernape, Azumarill, Luxray / Raichu, Gengar, Weavile, Wishcash, or Quagsire. That is the team for Infernape. We will now start the team for Empoleon.